Hi, I'm Mike. I'm late for dinner. Usually late for dinner, or at least late cooking it. And it's because I'm busy, just like you might be. And it's kind of hard to figure out how to make a good, tasty meal when you're so busy taking care of other things in your life. But you can do it. So, what's the secret? Well, it's preparation. And I'm not talking about long, drawn out hours of preparation because none of us have time to do that. What I am talking about is just taking a few minutes to do something that's going to make later work better for you. You know, kind of like thawing out proteins and stuff like that. How many times have you been there? So, one example is rice. Very soon I'm going to be doing a live fried rice cooking demo, and I thought it'd be wise to kind of give a preliminary look at what you need, and this is a great opportunity to talk about preparation. So, the best fried rice is made with what is commonly termed as day-old rice, and basically it just means rice that has been cooked, steamed, boiled before, placed in the refrigerator, or left out to safely, of course, to dry out. The grains must dry out. But another very important thing to do is the rice must be rinsed. Now, for instance, this is just basic long grain rice that you can buy in the store. And I think I got this at Walmart. Well, I generally tend to cook 3 cups of rice. And that rice is, when you put water in it, the water is extremely cloudy. You cannot even see to the bottom of the pan to look at the rice. So it's important that you rinse that rice out. And you can run the cold water on it and keep stirring it around so that that murky water ends up going out. One thing I like to do is I do about 8 to 12 rinses, believe it or not. I know it sounds excessive, but what you're looking for is to where you can put water into that pan and then you can actually see those rice grains without an issue, that there's very little cloudiness in the water. That seems to work out the best when dealing with rice like this. The other thing is, about halfway through, I've recently developed a little trick that I like to do, and that's about halfway through those rinses, I like to leave the water in the pan and walk away from like 20 minutes and do other things. I've noticed that the rice grains will swell up a bit and take on some of the water right then and there. It seems to help the cooking process later, and it's a much nicer rice. And then you continue your rinse cycle. What I did was, I've done 2 batches this morning. I cooked rice, and when it was done, I dumped it into a bowl like this. And I have been fluffing this now ever since it came out, just to get the steam and the heat out of it. And those rice grains will start breaking up as you start fluffing the rice. What do I do then? 3 cups of uncooked rice will make 2 full stocked quart-sized Ziploc bags that I can put in the freezer. I like to flatten them out like this because they thaw easier. They thaw best in the refrigerator. And when the time comes, all the rice grains are nice and loose like this, and they're so easy to work with. The second way, and I love this way, is to use those big quart boxes that hold about a truckload of steamed rice that you get from Chinese takeout. Oftentimes, we can't possibly use all that rice and never knew what to do with it. If you take that box of rice, wrap it up in a twist tie bag and stick it in the freezer, or just put the box in the refrigerator for tomorrow, that is excellent rice to make fried rice out of. And there's lots of things when you're making fried rice that you can use what you have. And that's what it's all about. You should have the ingredients to make fried rice because it's what you have in your refrigerator. Right now, I have leftover broccoli. I have some diced red onion, diced carrots, diced celery, and I have some frozen peas in the freezer that I could dump a few out of a bag. Or if I had a rotisserie chicken, I can break some pieces off of that. I can make fried rice with what I have in the refrigerator, and so can you. Now I'm going to make egg fried rice, just because I want to use that second half of the rice I thawed yesterday, and I'm going to cut up some spring onions. I'm going to take 2 eggs, beat the eggs. I recently learned a really neat trick. This rice here I would normally put it into a wok or a pan that had been oiled so hot that it's smoking. Well, I'm still going to do that, but sometimes I find myself adding a little too much oil to that wok or that pan because I feel that the rice isn't going to get that oil coating enough to be able to get that kind of crispy, almost like brown seared edge on it. So what I'm going to do, and a cook I really respect showed me this. She said if you put a little bit of rice, which that's probably about a tablespoon, and I'm just going to go ahead and mix that around and get that oil coating on it. What's beautiful is these rice grains are just acting individually. After being in the freezer, they dry out so nicely. For today, because everybody probably has a saute pan, we're going to use a saute pan. And I'm using a portable burner just for the sake of ease so we can see each other. Well, you can see me. I'm going to oil this like a wok. Now what we have to do is we have to get some heat on this, and it's got to be a lot of heat. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my oil distributed, but I want to see this thing smoke. This is a saute pan with a heavy base, so it might take a little bit for that to happen, and please be patient because the last thing you want to do is put these ingredients into a pan that's not hot enough because the temperature of this is going to drop when you do. I was like, please let there be a spatula. When it comes to dealing with eggs, I like the soft spatula. I'm going to put a tiny bit of chicken bouillon powder. I'm also going to put a tiny bit of sugar on this with the bouillon. Why would I do that? Well, because it helps to give this tiny little caramelized crunch on the rice when I mix it in with the flavor, and it kind of acts as a carrier. And we have a hot pan, and we are smoking. Eggs in the pool. So I'm just going to keep turning them so that they actually cook rapidly, but I don't want them to burn. When I feel that they have cooked enough, which we're only seconds away from that right now, as in like right there, I'm going to add my rice. Listen to the sizzle. Immediately start breaking up the egg. The last thing you want is for the egg to, what a revolting development this is. So, a little warning, take your smoke detector down beforehand. These rice grains are moving about in this pan so beautifully. They are individual. I have almost no clumps of rice happening. The egg actually browned, which usually doesn't happen in my wok, but I had to try it. Now, I want to keep this moving. This will burn if I stop even for a moment, and running to the smoke detector even worried me in that regard. Okay. So I want my rice to be cooked, stir-fried, and it is definitely happening here. So I am going to put my salt in. Salt makes rice stick, so make sure that you're putting your salt in at the very tail end of your cook. Most people don't know that, but it is true. And I want to stir those seasonings in. And then I want my spring onion. Burner off. Little pepper to complement the dish. My friends, egg fried rice. And that is the end result. Fried rice is easy, and it is something that tends to be different every single time you make it, because who knows what I'm going to have in the refrigerator, but you got to try it. There's so many things that you could do. What do you love? Put it in there. A closer look. Sweet, beautiful. It's not heavy at all. It is a light, fluffy, but fried rice. It has the feel of fried rice, but it's not, it doesn't weigh you down. That trick with the putting the oil in the rice helps so much. I probably have half the oil that I would normally have in rice, just trying to make sure that I had enough oil to get that to cook. The sugar is beautiful. You don't have to put the sugar in, but it really makes a difference. And sugar gives things that pop where when you cook for somebody, they're like, wow, what is that you do? There's something special there. So I hope you will look into making fried rice for your family. It is truly a very versatile dish and easy to make, and lots of fun too. Thanks for watching. I'm Mike, and yes, I'm late for dinner.